I got out of the Marine Corps in 2003, I started kind of playing around with medical marijuana to treat some issues I had from being in the military. And one thing led to another, and I spent the better part of 2003 to 2015 as a medical marijuana grower. I owned and sold a couple of collectives in California. Me and my brother were, they were cultivation collectives, so we didn't have any dispensaries, but we basically just grew medicine for patients all over the state. I mean, from San Francisco to San Diego. And, you know, we started out with really small operations, and, you know, kind of naturally as you become a commercial, you know, professional cultivator, everything gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and so we had some pretty decent sized operations. In 2015, we kind of ran into some problems with law enforcement in California, because California is a really unique situation. Even though you have the state laws, you have Proposition 215 and Senate Bill 420, counties and municipalities and cities don't really respect those laws. So we were in Ventura County, and we were compliant with Senate Bill 420 and Proposition 215, but the city was basically regulating collectives outside of their incorporated area. So make a long story short, we got a visit from the sheriff's department, and they couldn't shut us down because we were compliant with the state laws. We were, they got us on some permit things. You know, we didn't pull proper permits for some of the electrical wiring in our facility. So we ended up getting a cease and desist letter from the federal government. So we basically got a letter from the DEA that said, you have 30 days to shut down your operation or we're going to indict you. So when you get that kind of letter, and you know, you really don't play around with that. So we shut down our operations and we moved back to Texas, and we started preparing for Senate Bill 339. So we knew that things were happening in the state, and we started working behind the scenes with the actual group that wrote the bill. You know, we have a really good relationship with them, and other relationships that we have within the state, and we started preparing for licensing to be rolled out, or applications to be rolled out. Kind of simultaneously, we stumbled upon industrial hemp, you know, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with the industrial hemp movement in this country, but
not very, I assume.
Okay.
Many of us aren't.
Industrial hemp is cannabis, right? And what I'm going to be talking about today is this is actually a course that I took that was put on by Jay Beckerman, and Jay Beckerman has about 30 years in the hemp industry from an international level, and
it was a CLE, wasn't it?
it was a CLE.
Yeah,
It was a CLE by the seminar group out of Washington, and it was for I think it's like 7 credit hours for their bar in the state of Washington. So in 2014, the federal government passed the Farm Bill. Prior to 2014, it was illegal to grow hemp in the United States because hemp was cannabis. All forms of cannabis cultivation are illegal in the United States at a federal level still today. Everybody knows that. In 2014, the federal government passed the Agricultural Act of 2014, and Section 7606 specifically talks about industrial hemp. What they did is they legalized the cultivation of industrial hemp if the hemp is grown according to the statute. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, and that's kind of the things that I'm going to go over. And it's still a gray area. I mean, it's a really big gray area. The laws has holes big enough to drive trucks through it, and companies like myself we've found a way to be compliant with the law. Even though it's a gray law, there's still ways to be compliant with it. You know, it's all about how you interpret it, what your opinion is of it, and how you can be compliant within that framework. So we have we contract out our farms in Colorado. We have a processing facility in Dallas, Texas. We've been in business about 8 months now. We have our products in I think we're in about 10 states now. We just secured some pretty big distribution contracts in California, in New York, and we're trying to, I have a potential meeting next month with the House of Representatives in Mexico to potentially start importing our oils into the country of Mexico. So it's a really fascinating business. It really intrigues me. It's super interesting. I mean, I love this stuff. You know, we in the state of Texas, it's even more of a gray area because all forms of cannabis are technically illegal in the state of Texas, but the Texas law has a lot of holes in it. So we've taken advantage of that, and we've had, in the last 6 months, we've had maybe 6 different run-ins with law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas, from local narcotics departments to the Department of Public Safety, all which have ended positively. All but one, which is still being worked through with DPS, have ended with product being returned back to our stores, no charges being filed. And we even had a court here, I think, is Michael Ware does he?
Yeah.
He's an associate professor here, he's a professor
Adjunct.
here?
Adjunct.
Okay, so actually we had a case in Tarrant County, and Michael Ware represented our client pro bono. He's with the Innocence Project. And we had a Tarrant County judge verbally, he wouldn't give us written opinion, verbally tell us that our products are legal in the state of Texas. So that was really big, because that's recorded. So if we really wanted to, we could probably get those records, but when we asked for formal legal written opinion, he kicked me out of the courtroom. So we weren't able to get that. But so there's a lot of stuff happening in the state. It's really fascinating, and I'll just kind of start going through some of this stuff, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. So this right here is.
Let me just ask a clarifying question
Yes.
about your business so that they
Yes.
understand. You basically grow the marijuana in Colorado.
Hemp.
Sorry, hemp.
Yeah.
So the cannabis, the low THC cannabis.
Exactly.
Okay. You grow in Colorado, you
Yes.
ship it to Texas.
Yes.
You process in Texas, and then
Yes.
you ship it
And
around the country.
yes, sir.
Okay.
100% correct. So it's growing in Colorado. We contract out our farms, but we're in the process of leasing 120 acres in Colorado. So this time next year, they'll be our farms. They'll be Texas Wellness Farms. Right now, we contract out through a company that we have a great relationship with. And that's right, the plant material when it starts, so industrial hemp, right? I'll get into that in a little bit, but, so, industrial hemp. This is the Agricultural Act of 2014, section 7606. And, notwithstanding the Controlled Substance Act, the Safe Drug-Free Schools and Committee Act, as defined in section 101 of the Higher Education Act, I'm sorry, I'm blind. The Safe and Drug-Free Schools Committee Act, Chapter 81, Title 41, United States Code, or any other federal law, an institution of higher education of the Higher Education Act or State Department of Agriculture may grow or cultivate industrial hemp if, here's a big thing, right? The industrial hemp is grown or cultivated for purposes of research conducted under an agricultural pilot program or other agricultural or academic research. And the growing or cultivating of industrial hemp is allowed under the laws of the state in which such institutions of higher education or state departments of agriculture is located and such research occurs. Definitions. The term agricultural pilot program means a pilot program to study the growth, cultivation, or marketing of industrial hemp. In states that permit the growth or cultivation of industrial hemp under the laws of the state and in a manner that ensures that apply only institutions of higher education and state departments of agriculture are used to grow or cultivate industrial hemp. Requires that site used for growing or cultivating industrial hemp in a state be certified and registered by the State Department of Agriculture. And authorizes the State Department of Agriculture to promulgate regulations to carry out the pilot program in the United States in accordance with the purposes of this section. So that's huge, right? There's some pretty big holes in this. But the first thing, industrial hemp is grown or cultivated for purposes of research conducted under an agricultural pilot program or other agricultural or academic research. So our hemp is grown in the state of Colorado under their agricultural pilot program. A lot of companies, what they're doing, so you have kind of two different models. States have adopted one of two different things. You have some states that will license their growers for research and for commercial activity. Then you have some states that will only license individuals as a commercial grower and only institutions of higher learning as doing research and development. So the language is pretty clear. Hemp must be grown for purposes of academic research. In Kentucky, the state of Kentucky will give their growers two licenses. They're called duly registered hemp farmers, meaning they have a research and development license and they have a commercial cultivation license. So they are 100% compliant with how you must grow your hemp. The state of Colorado, they call the Colorado growers Colorado Cowboys because the state of Colorado has commercial licenses They will issue anybody for $600, you can get a license to grow industrial hemp. But they will not give you a research and development license. Those are only given to universities. So a lot of people that are growing hemp in the state of Colorado are hiding behind this bill, are not truly growing it for purposes of academic research. What we've done since we started this company, we had been looking for a university to partner up with. We knew that we couldn't get licensed in the state of Colorado because we're not a university. So we actually, we have a graduate student from the ag school in College Station that is doing his thesis on industrial hemp. And we've partnered with Keith. We took him out to the farm last week, and we're working with him now to do research on the growth, the cultivation, and marketing of industrial hemp. So that is our way of being compliant with this federal law. We're not a university, but if we partner with a university and it's grown for the purposes of academic research, then it is our opinion that we are compliant with the statute. The term agricultural pilot program means to study the growth, cultivation, and marketing of industrial hemp. So this is big right here, the marketing of industrial hemp. How do you study the marketing of anything, right? Through the sale of the product. How can you do a full circle market study if you don't know what the success of your marketing efforts are? So our products are sold as part of our marketing research. And the DEA actually issued a statement of principles a couple of weeks ago that touches on this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. So this is big right here, in yellow. Authorizes state departments of agriculture to promulgate regulations to carry out the pilot program in the United States. So the way that I understand that, the way that our council understands that, and I think the way that anybody else understands that, is the Department of Agriculture has leeway to implement the program however they see fit. So that's why a lot of people in the state of Colorado that aren't growing for research are kind of hiding behind this section, saying, well, the Farm Bill says that the Ag Department can implement regulations however they see fit. And they have licensed us under the Farm Bill, so we don't need to be growing for purposes of research. Personally, I disagree with that, but a lot of people are operating like that. So the term industrial hemp. The term industrial hemp means the plant Cannabis sativa L, this is big right here, in any part of such plant, whether growing or not, with a delta-9 THC concentration of no more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. So what does that mean? Prior to 2014, anything, well, we'll go over the Controlled Substance Act in a little bit, but this basically, in my opinion, and in everybody else's opinion that I've talked to, legalizes any part of that plant. It says it clearly, in any part of such plant. So that's really big, and we'll touch on that in the next slide. So here's the statement of principles that the federal government issued. What day was this posted on the register? Does it say? August 12th, 2016. So what happened was people are operating according to the Farm Bill. They kind of found some loopholes in the law, and the federal government doesn't like that. So the USDA, the DEA, the Department of Human Health Services, and the FDA issued a joint statement August 12th, clarifying their interpretation of the law, which they call the Statement of Principles. It's my opinion that this is simply their legal opinion and is unenforceable. And at the end of it, it's very clear. If you scroll down to the very end, it says that, I think it's on another slide.
No, it's over to the left.
It's over to the left.
I'm talking about the,
There it goes. The Statement of Principles does not establish any binding legal requirements. So they issued this big long statement, and then at the end said, this Statement of Principles does not establish any binding legal requirements. It's because they know that it's unenforceable. They're defunded from enforcing any action against anybody operating in the hemp industry, so long as you're growing your hemp according to Section 7006 of the Farm Bill. So a couple of things that they did in this Statement of Principles. There was a couple of positives. The first thing that they did is they acknowledged interstate commerce. The Statement of Principles says that industrial hemp products may be sold as part of marketing research in states with pilot programs, but may not be sold in states where it is prohibited. Right? So they acknowledge interstate commerce, but they also acknowledge that it cannot be sold in states where it is prohibited. So how do I understand that? I understand that even if a state doesn't